Hi. So, this is my first voiceover and my first video for my senior creative thesis project. I have decided to do a Sims build, 4 of them actually, of real life places of importance in my life. So this video is the first one that I recorded, and it is me doing my Nashville house, my childhood home where I'm from in Nashville, Tennessee. This home obviously has a lot of importance to me, nostalgia-wise, still. It still exists. It's the same as it was when I was growing up. I come back home quite often, not as often as I'd like, but probably once every 2 or 3 months. And it is just exactly the same as it was. I have 2 dogs, I have 2 puppies, and my mom still lives here. So, but yeah, so this project was really interesting to conceptualize and follow through with. I wanted something that had some meaning for me, but also that I could, I guess, illustrate the meaning to other people as well. And I thought that this would be a really good way of showing visually, and also just having a remembrance of this in video format forever. So Sims was really interesting. I recently just got into it right before this project was announced, and I needed to pick a topic. I had originally picked something different. I was doing an embroidery project. I was making a bunch of different patterns and trying to focus on getting better at embroidery, but I realized that there was no real meaning behind that for me. There was nothing that really made me want to continue to do that, and I was quite bored by it. I had gotten into embroidery over quarantine just to try to find a hobby for me to do, and it was so fun, but it didn't really hold any value. And quarantine and being stuck in Philadelphia definitely made me realize how much I missed my home and how much I missed my mom and all those things. So yeah, this was a really fun project to do, and I really liked how it came out. I did 4 houses. This is one of 4. I did my Nashville house, I did my grandparents' house, I did my apartment in Philadelphia, and I did my boyfriend's house also in Philadelphia. So these are really interesting to do architecturally, nostalgia-wise, trying to remember everything and how the layout of certain places was and all that. So I really enjoyed doing this, and I think that they turned out really well, and as accurate as they could have with the limited tools that I had. Sims has a base starter pack, and then they go up from there with like expansion packs and add-ons and things. And I kind of wanted to just do something with with the basics that I had. I didn't really want to put too much money into this, as I am a broke college student, but I did want to have a lot of things available to me, and the base pack does give you a ton of options, furniture-wise, architecturally, any accessories that you might need, all that. So I think with what I had, I was able to find some things that were definitely comparable to put in. So yeah, so this is me trying to figure out Sims. This was my first one. I had done like a practice one before, just straight from my own noggin. No really inspiration. And the physics of Sims, figuring out the way that structurally it can work. I don't really have an architecture brain. I had a lot of trouble sometimes figuring out how stairs worked, how rooms fit together, how entryways worked, things like that. So this whole first video is kind of me just figuring it out. And every house is different. Every building that I did is different, and each with their own challenges. I think that this one was kind of difficult. I think my apartment was the easiest because it was one floor and it's just basically a big box with some rooms in it. But this one was a little more difficult for me to figure out how to do with the stairs leading to the basement and all that. So in this part of the video, I'm trying to figure out the stairs and figure out where they're supposed to go and how they can attach, and the physics of Sims, and how I could make that work. So this is definitely a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this, and it really, I think, helped my missing my home, and having that kind of connection again. I really did enjoy doing this and putting in the hours and the work. So yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, so this kind of was also kind of therapeutic for me because, as I said, quarantine and COVID and all that has made everything a little bit harder, a little more intense, and it took a lot for me to get here. It took a lot for me to get to the point where I am right now. I am originally from Nashville, Tennessee. If anyone watching this knows me, knows my pride and my joy is Nashville. I decided to come to Philadelphia when I was in about a junior in high school. I really wanted to break out of that Nashville bubble. I had been in the city my entire life. I'd gone to the same school my entire life, lived in the same house basically my entire life. So I think I was ready for a change. Little did anyone know that change would come to every human on Earth, and it would be in the form of a global pandemic. But besides that, I had probably a good 6 months before that happened. I moved here in August of 2019 with my best friend of 15 years. And we decided to, after high school graduation, we decided to go to community college. In Tennessee has a program where you can go and get your associate's degree for free. So we did that. I graduated in 2019, May, and then decided that I would get an apartment with said friend, and we would live up here together for the foreseeable future. Arcadia was a really big part in my decision. I originally really wanted to go to Drexel University. I was dead set on doing that, being a dragon, I'm pretty sure. And they had come to a early on junior year college fair, and I was looking at that, and I had toured, I think twice, and I did really like it. And the only thing for me was that it was downtown, and I was just a little worried about that. I'd never lived on my own before, and the thought of kind of having a random roommate and a random living situation wasn't that appetizing to me, but nevertheless, I really thought that that was where I was going to go to school. I originally thought that I wanted to go into graphic design, illustration, something like that, but that quickly did not become a dream of mine. And then Arcadia came into the picture my junior year as well. In the spring, there was another college fair, and they came and we toured there a couple of times. I saw the campus. It was beautiful. It still is. And they had a really good journalism program, which at the time I had decided to go into photojournalism as I was getting my photography degree from Nashville State. So I thought, well, this is great. I can do my degree for free, put it off for 2 years, still live at home, but have a little more freedom, and then branch out and figure it out from there. So we did that, and I graduated in May of 2019. I got accepted to Arcadia straight after that, or before that. And then me and my friend found an apartment, and we made the move in August. And it was so exciting. This new journey that was going on. It was very, very new, and scary, very scary at the same time. I was going to be living alone, without my mom for the first time. I had my friend with me, which was very, very nice, because who better to move with than your best friend? And I also have family in Philly other than my friend. I had a couple of aunts and uncles. My mom is originally from Bensalem. She grew up here, so she knew the area, and some family was still here, so I felt more comfortable coming to Philly than I would have, let's say, New York or California or some other big place like that. So at the time, everything was going smoothly, and I was on a track at Arcadia. I was going to be studying abroad. I was going to go to London my junior year, which would technically be my second year, because of my transfer degree requirements and all of that. But as it turns out, the universe had a different story to tell, and the pandemic happened. So that kind of pushed those plans to the back burner, and eventually they just fell off the stove altogether. I had been to London in August of 2019, right before I moved here. I had visited my now ex-boyfriend, who lived in London, and it was wonderful. It was the best 2 weeks of my life. I had the best vacation. It was amazing. I loved every minute of it, and I decided, yes, this is where I wanted to go, study abroad, live for 2 semesters, which would be, the whole year, and it would be perfect. I just could envision it so clearly in my brain, and I understood that this was the right thing for me. I could feel it, and very excited about the future. But in March of 2020, things changed very drastically and very, very quickly. Of course, as we all know, the global pandemic, which is COVID, happened, and it took everybody by storm. Kids had to be brought back from study abroad. My plans were canceled for the fall. I had been accepted. I had put my $500 deposit down. I had picked my classes. I was ready to go. And I thought that everything else was too, but, that just wasn't the case. So I had to rethink my entire major and my entire journey, which was very scary. I had come to Arcadia for a certain degree. I had come to Philly for a certain college experience, and I did not end up getting that. And a lot of people would agree with me and relate to that. It was definitely a whirlwind of emotions for sure. We were all pretty scared at the time, so but anyway, so I met my still very long-term committed boyfriend, James, in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. Very convenient. We met on February 9th, and then about a month later, on March 13th, the US shut down. That was very scary. But we got a good month in of regular dating and outings, and no mask required, and we could go out to restaurants and things like that before we were pretty much locked in with each other for about a year. And as of recording this in May of 2021, that it's not so the case anymore to where we can't go out and do things, but we are still very cautious. I am 100% vaccinated. He is 1/2 vaccinated. So there is definitely some light in the tunnel. We can see that, and it's really reassuring. And I believe things will go back to normal eventually. Obviously, they will be very slow. They have been. But we will get there, and we'll be able to enjoy our lives again, which is very lovely. Let's see. I now live alone. I live in my apartment by myself. My friend who moved with me, we both met our significant others in February of 2020. And much to my dismay and my discomfort, in about May of 2020, my friend's significant other was moved in together. We all had a part in that, but it turned out to be for the worse. No one was very happy, I being the least happy. And that's just the way the cookie crumbled. We just weren't able to make it work, and they have left, and James will be moving in with me in the fall, in about 2 months, so that's very exciting, and definitely a silver lining. It was a very hard adjustment. It was very hard losing someone like that in my life, who had been such a steadfast constant in my life for so long, but change is imminent all the time. It is always there, and very unavoidable. Change is very unavoidable. So we have made it work, and it's definitely been a growing period for me this entire almost 2 years now, which is crazy for me to say, of being in Philadelphia, but it has been a very eye-opening experience. I think that there is no greater challenge than losing someone that you love very dearly. And I lost 2 people in the span of that time. I lost my friend last year when she left. She's still alive, of course, but no longer in my life. But I did lose my grandfather in January of 2021, and that was very difficult for everyone, my grandma and my mom and me, and people who knew him and his family and all that. So it was a very difficult adjustment to do, and to come back to Philadelphia from Knoxville, where they were. And I talk about that in the next couple of videos, but that adjustment period, driving back to Philadelphia after his passing and realizing that my life is very different from what it was, and looking back and thinking about how much it had changed in the grand scheme of things, in a very small amount of time. 2 years is not that long. It seems like forever when you're living in it, but it isn't that long in the grand scheme. So it was hard to come to terms with that and look at my life and look at who I am and look at who I was. And I definitely am not the same person as I was when I lived in this house that you're watching me build. But let's turn for a minute, because this was really fun. I had a really good time building this whole house, but I really think the kitchen turned out really well. If we can turn gears. I think that the kitchen is probably one of my favorite parts of my house. It is so... When I was in middle school and early high school, I had a really hard time kind of coming to terms with the fact that I had a small house. With the people that I grew up with the tax bracket that I was surrounded by, and the way that people lived and went about their daily lives. It was very different for me growing up, and I knew that from a very young age. And I could tell that I definitely had less money than the people that I grew up with. I had gone to K through 12. I had gone to a private Christian school, and the people I grew up with had money. A lot of them did. A lot of them didn't. Some of them didn't. But a lot of them did. And it took me a while to realize that that is okay. And a part of me knew that I didn't want to be like those people. It wasn't very attractive to me, the lifestyle and the way that people were treated and things of that nature, just because of what class they were categorized in. I definitely had thoughts of embarrassment at times, which were quickly subdued due to the fact that I just stopped caring after a while. It's my house. It's my life. It's my cozy little corner. I really like my small house. I love showing it to people, and I always have very fond memories of this house. And I definitely realized that this was my safe place. This is my sanctuary. This is my, I come home and I feel instantly at ease being here. So yeah, it is really important to me. So yeah, this is, and it's been very consistent my entire life. appliances have changed and the TV's gotten a little bigger and less bulky. But other than that, like, things have stayed pretty much the same. We have some new couches. We used to have very different couches when I was a little kid. Very 90s. But, other than that, the architecture stayed the same. It's a very old house. It was built in either 33 or 53. I can't truly remember. But it's old. It's got old heat and air. It's got old floors, and it's a really charming, super unique little house. We live on about like a very big backyard. I can't remember when or how big exactly, but it's a very big backyard. Got a lot of land for our little puppies to run around in, and they're not even puppies. They're fully grown dogs. I just like calling them puppies. Harley and Charlotte, my two tiny dogs. They love the yard. They love running around and chasing squirrels and picking up sticks and all that. And I definitely learned to appreciate my big backyard at an older age. I hated it when I was a kid, when I was recruited by my mom to do yard work with her and scour the yard with my little wagon to pick up sticks. So wasn't very happy about that, but I appreciate it so much now. Feel like I'm always in the middle of nature, which is nice. But yeah, so the kitchen, love cooking as a kid, loved cooking as an adult. It's pretty much always been the way it is. And yeah, this house has a lot of character, a lot of memories, and it makes me feel like home, and that's probably the most important thing about a house, I would think. So here's me trying to figure out the architecture and trying to figure out the layout that I want. I redid a lot of things a lot of times. So Sims has little cheat codes that you can put in to where you can move objects basically wherever you want, because in regular play you are kind of required to stay within these like preset blocks, but with these cheats you can really move objects wherever you want. You can raise and lower them and all this. So that's when that zoom out happens, that's me raising an object. For some reason it doesn't really like me doing that. So I would do something and then adjust and then move back and then adjust and then try to figure out the exact placement that I wanted things. And here's my little pantry. But yeah, there we go again. There's the zoom out. So yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun on this project. I think that Sims is really well done in its creativity and its play. I think it's really easy to get wrapped up in this game. I've spent many hours on this project, probably about 25 or 30 hours on this project. So it goes without saying that I really wanted to make it good. I am a perfectionist, and I had to keep telling myself over and over again that, it's not so important that you need to make sure that this is in the same exact space that it is in your house, because it's never going to be like that. The square footage isn't right. I don't know I think the blocks are considered feet, but you know, I don't really know. Here's me putting in my 2 dogs. The bigger one is Harley, and the smaller one is Charlotte. But yeah, anyway, so I had to find comparable items, and I also just had to stick with what I had and not be upset when, you know, this taught me to go with the flow a little bit, see what I truly needed, see what I didn't, see what was necessary, see what wasn't. So it definitely was a struggle. Sometimes I wanted everything to be perfect, but then I realized that wasn't realistic, and I had to work with what I had. So I think I did pretty okay doing that. Yeah, so this is me trying to terraform the backyard. The house is sort of on a hill, and then it kind of drops down at the backyard, and it's got a large front yard too. And I remember this was really difficult for me because we have a chain link fence around the entire property, so I was trying to get that to work out, and get the drop off correct and get the driveway in the right place and all that. So that was probably the most difficult part about this whole build was the yard and the terraforming. You can see again, I'm doing this again because it's not quite right, but this was the first one that I did. So I worked a little harder on this one, and I didn't realize that I could just, you know, make it however I want it. So we have like this metal carport / awning thing in the driveway to cover our lawnmower and our equipment and things like that. So here's me making that, and the fence goes across. We have a gate that opens to let the cars in. You have to open it by hand. It's not like electric or anything like that, but here's me trying to make the garden. And I remember this was a really difficult part. I was trying to do the stairs. We have 2 stairs up to the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk leads to 3 more stairs up to the porch. But for some reason, I just could not get the ground to be level. I just could not get this to work. I was trying to figure out, and I just couldn't do it. But eventually, I think I managed to make it happen. So this project was, like I said, about 20 hours, 25 hours long. It took me a really, really long time. That's why the video is sped up. I didn't want to record 25 hours of footage. But it just made me realize how intricate things are and how architecturally things work, and and how things are built. Here we go. I think I figured it out. There we go. It took me a really long time to figure out to just get rid of the stairs altogether. So yeah, the side yard is kind of on a slope, and it's way bigger than this, but I didn't have the plot for it in Sims. They only give you so much room to spread out. And the backyard spans a very large way. But again, I didn't really have the room. Here's me messing with it over and over again. I just try to make it perfect, and it got so frustrating. I realized I probably couldn't do that. So yeah, I like it now. I think I'm done with that. Here's me trying to do the gate, which was also difficult. There are certain things you can put on top of other things. There are certain things that you cannot put on top of other things. So some of this just refused to work, which is okay. I made it work in the end. So back to my childhood. I had a lot of fun growing up. I'm an only child. I didn't really have. I had friends growing up. I had a couple of really good ones. But like I said, I didn't have any siblings or anything, so it was just me and my mom. My parents are divorced. They divorced when I was really little, so it's always just been me and my mom. And I think that's why moving was so hard for me, is because it was just really hard to come to terms with that. Both of us were kind of alone for the first time, and it was really hard to adapt. But I think now we have learned how to do that, and it's not forever. It's not a forever commitment. We don't have to be like this forever. We can always, do whatever we want with our lives. Now I have another person in my life that's very important to me, James. Hi, James. So the decision making is for both of us now, but I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. But I've always had animals in the house, always had some sort of cat, dog, bunny, bird, some combination of all of those. It's always been really lively. I remember growing up, I was just so into animals. Very, very into animals. And always into helping others and growing my own path and having my own existence and my own life. But, sometimes life just works in mysterious ways. I hate that saying. I think it's so vague and broad, and it doesn't apply to anything, but it applies to everything at the same time. But it's true. Some things are just destined to be, I think. And for some people it's one way, and for some people it's another way. So here's me making our herb garden. We've got elephant ears in the front. We also have some strawberry bushes and mint, which is everywhere. We have got a ton of flowers on the side of the house, which is really nice. In the summertime, it is so hot in Tennessee in the summertime. Holy cow. The humidity is awful. That's another reason why Philly was so appealing to me, is because it was definitely going to be a little cooler. And I think now, last summer was pretty okay. But Tennessee heat can be very brutal. That was something that I hated growing up too, was just how hot it was. And when you get in your car, when you're out in the summer and you get back in your car and your legs are stuck to the seat if you have leather, and if not, they get burned on the seat belt, and so that wasn't very fun. But so here's me doing my bedroom, my childhood bedroom. This is my mom's room, the master, with the ceiling fan in it. And this is my room, where I grew up. And this is the bathroom. And I think the bathroom came out the best, honestly. The bathroom and the kitchen, I think, were probably the most accurate. We also have kind of just a guest room / bedroom on the back of the house. We call it the back room. And so that's sometimes for guests and things. And sometimes I just pause. Sometimes I just am not doing anything, or I'm eating and I forgot to stop recording, or this was my first one too, so excuse if there's long pauses. There we go. There, I'm back. So, yeah. Unlike my grandparents' house, we have no carpet, no full carpet in the house. It's all hardwood, obviously except for the bathroom and the kitchen. But in my room, we had quite a large area rug, so I decided to just put carpet down in The Sims. And then in the living room, we've always had a huge area rug in the middle of the room. Just makes it more comfy that way. And yeah, and I think the bathroom is the most accurate, but it took a lot of work to get there. It was really hard because, you don't have every option that you could possibly need in the base pack on The Sims. So I had to improvise and kind of go with the flow on this one as well, kind of just work with what I had and figure out the best course of action for the shower, which is a tub, yes, but it is also sort of just like a walk-in shower, which they didn't really have much to offer in that way. Sometimes I just jump around. Sometimes I see something and I decide I don't like it anymore, or, oh, this would look great in, such and such. So I see something and I just jump from room to room a lot of the time. So this is me redoing the front garden again, and I just redid the light posts, and I thought, those would look a little better than the ones with the flower baskets, because we don't really have flower baskets on the ones at my house, so this one's pretty good. And we have a little walkway, and here's the hose. We got rocks in there, and then we have a garden hose. Let's see, there we go. And sometimes it just doesn't let you place it where you want. It's actually like on the foundation of the house, on the brick part, but it didn't really let me put anything there, so just had to go with the flow on that one too. Color-wise and like finish-wise and floor type and foundation and those things like aren't what you look at. Like when you enter a room, and I think you enter a room and you focus on what's really important, which sounds like so deep and weird, but you look at the people that are in the room, or if there aren't people in the room, you look at what you're focused on. And if you live somewhere for a long time, you kind of just become immune, I guess, to your surroundings. Not oblivious, because but I had a hard time picking the kitchen tile because I can't really remember what it looks like exactly, or what the best match would be in Sims, and it's hard, not buying all the packs to add on to Sims, but like I said, I just wanted to work with the basics. And then, so just noticing the little things. This project definitely has made me more aware, and it will make me more aware in the future of my surroundings and where I live and what things are constant, what things change, and all of that. So it's really nice to be able to notice the small stuff. I remember when we redid this bathroom, it used to be really old 50s tile. It used to be blue tile in the shower. It used to have, I think, white walls and all old appliances, and we redid it about, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and got all new plumbing and appliances, and the sink and the shower is new, and the tile is new, and so it looks very modern and nice, but it didn't used to look like that. So now I have a hard time remembering that the way it used to be, which is hard for me sometimes, because you don't really notice until it's gone, or you don't even really appreciate things until they're different. It's odd. This definitely made me reflective for sure, this whole project. Here's me redoing, there we go. I like to jump back and just kind of check on things and see if I still like them or not. So let's see. Yeah, so I do like the bathroom. I think it came out really well. Like I said, I have a lot of memories in this house. Of course, I grew up here. It's my childhood home. Spent a lot of time here. Had a lot of gatherings here, and so yeah. Then I realized that this shower wasn't right. We don't really have a step up in the shower, but I thought it would make it more visually interesting, and then I decided, no, you're supposed to make it exactly how it is. So I had to switch up some stuff every so often. Here's me doing my childhood bedroom. This has now been turned kind of into like the office, sort of. My mom does work. She works from home, as does most of the people here. But yeah, so she's kind of turned my childhood bedroom into an office, and it's crowded for sure. There's not a lot of room for, a bunch of stuff, but I think she made it look nice and made it work for her, and that's all that matters. She's comfortable. And this is where I spent most of my time growing up. I actually remember I picked the wall color when I was small. I wanted a yellow room, wanted it to be bright and lively and fun. So I have a closet there, but I decided, it would be too bulky in this, and so some things I just made work a different way. I made objects work a different way than they traditionally do. Definitely had to change windows every so often, and that is more accurate in the end. And I had to think about spacing and how things fit together. So this whole project is also from memory. So I did all of this without looking at any reference pictures or any pictures from my childhood. I didn't look at anything to do this project. None of the 4 houses. So I thought that would be a cool element too. I definitely wanted to connect more, and I thought that doing it from memory and trying to figure out, because I would place one object and then be like, oh, but actually that is near this, and that's actually in the room, and blah blah blah. So I would figure it out like that, by association, which was pretty neat. I really liked that aspect of it, and at the end I'll have the pictures and I'll be able to compare it and see actually how I did, which is really neat. So yeah. And of course this is my first recording, so it's going to be a little more awkward than any of the other ones. Kind of difficult to think all the time just about, how things are and whatever, and how to talk about that kind of stuff. Because you don't want to give too much away about your life, and then I don't want to say nothing, and then, so we'll see. So yeah, this is me putting the finishing touches. Sorry, I was silent there for a bit. But yeah, so I really did have a really good time with this project. I think I was able to successfully do what I set out to do, which is all I could ever ask for. I think it's so challenging to remember when you're not in a place like that all the time, and try to realize, what's important and what's not, what you really remember and what you don't, and what stands out to you in your memories and what doesn't. This is a really cool way to kind of express that and think about it in a different way. Think about my childhood, think about my current life, think about, the people in my life in a different way. Really interesting. I'm really glad that I got to do this project. And, the other videos to come are going to be really good too. I really like the houses that I picked. I think they are the most important ones that are in my life currently, and I think the people are the most important part. I remember the house and I remember the things that are in the house, but I remember the memories and the people more, and I think that that's all that really matters. Having those memories and having those connections and having those nostalgia moments where you are just kind of living. It's so nice. And I really do appreciate everything that this house gave me. Everything that I learned while I was in Nashville, everything that I learned from my mother, who was and is my biggest influence and biggest fan and biggest confidant, and I love you very much. Shout out to Mom. And everyone, everyone can relate to that, I hope. But yeah, so I can't wait to show this to them. I can't wait to show this to each, every person. Obviously, my apartment will be for me, but my mom will see this, and my grandma will see her house, and then my boyfriend and his friends will